Hi, I'm Angelica Bell and welcome to the NatWest Business Show. Joining me today is Timothy Armoo, a prolific entrepreneur and co-founder at Fanbytes. Timo helped build Fanbytes from the ground up into a 70-person marketing agency that connected brands with Gen Z in a truly authentic way. And in return, the business was acquired in a deal worth tens of millions. And now he's here to break down his growth tactics and tell you how they can be applied to your business, even in uncertain times. So let's jump into it. Timo, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's great. We like to start off the show asking our guests to tell us a bit about them in 60 seconds.
60 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, so a bit about your journey and how you got from A to B.
60 seconds. I was born in Hackney in 1994. I went to live in Ghana for 10 years. I came back here when I was, 10. I got the kind of businessy bug at 14 when I started a company called Alpha Tutoring. It was a tutoring business. That business flopped because it should do. Every first business should flop. And then I started a second company, Entrepreneurial Express, which I was fortunate enough to sell within 12 months of starting it. And then I started a company, Fanbytes, at 21, which I grew from 0 to 70 people and sold for tens of millions 5.5 years after. So I think that's 45 seconds. So we have time.
So can I fill the 15 left?
Yeah. Let's talk about the weather. Yeah.
You've packed in a lot.
Well, you said 60 seconds, so I had to accelerate everything that happened.
Well, I was talking about your life.
Oh, yeah. That also. Yeah. Lived 1,000 lives.
I know.
Yeah.
I can't believe that you started a business at 14. You had that entrepreneurial spirits from such an early age.
But I didn't know it was a business. I just thought it was like a cool way of making money. And then I realized, I'm actually providing value. I'm actually providing a service. And oh my God, this is a business.
Right. So at the time, it was just something you wanted to do to make money.
Yeah.
So what do you think sets yourself and Fanbytes apart from other agencies?
So I think one of the key things was we focused on a specific niche and a specific segment of the market, right? So not only did we go influencer marketing, but then we also went niche inside of influencer marketing. So we said, we're going to help brands to target a Gen Z audience. So like practically that was a big differentiator. So many business owners are scared to say we are for these people and not for these people.
Do you think it's limiting their audience?
Yeah, they go, oh my God, it's limiting, etc. But if anything, by being for an audience means you can increase the value of the things that you actually provide. So I think that from a practical perspective was quite a big thing. I think probably the second one was like, we spent a lot of time marketing ourselves. It's so weird. You have a lot of, marketing agencies and all that stuff who spend time marketing their clients, but not marketing themselves. But we spend a lot of time marketing ourselves.
I mean, when you put it like that is really
it's crazy,
basic,
isn't it?
But
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, how would someone know you're good at marketing by you being good at marketing yourself?
It's a bit like a hairdresser. If their hair's not good.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I've been to barbers and I've looked at the barber, and if his shape up is dead, I'm not going to him. So it's just how it is. Exactly. Yeah.
That's interesting. Where did you get this sort of entrepreneurial nous from? Because it seems like you do sit back and observe and then take action.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of this quote, and I've said this before, but I think it's I actually heard it in a Jay-Z lyric. It was like, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And I remember just hearing that once and just being like, this is just going to be the blueprint for my life. I just have this thesis that, most of the things that you're trying to do in life have basically been done by someone else, right? So your job really is to figure out how they've done it and then just do it.
And make it your own.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you're right. I think a lot of business owners try too much to think from first principles. And I think a part of it is because they want to feel like they're geniuses, right? But business really is not about how smart you are. It's kind of how like resourceful you are and then how determined you are. And I think that's the way that people should be thinking about business.
Do you see yourself as part of a new wave of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so I think, there's a generation of entrepreneurs who have grown up with the phone as basically their computer, right? And what's even scarier is like there's a generation of entrepreneurs now who their whole thing is they see the world through the lens of whatever, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and all that stuff. And it's great because all of us now have basically, we understand that the way to create value is not just about how many units of this product can you create, right? It's about how much of an audience can you build? How much can you drive attention and traffic online? And that's very exciting because now that means you can start a business, you can run a business and scale a business without needing a lot of money because, the variable is more about your creativity. And that is amazing. Like if you think about the generation of entrepreneurs before me, right? The way that you built wealth was by like creating physical things, creating physical things, getting in your manufacturing and all that stuff. And now we just type on keys and stuff happens, right? Yeah. Which is crazy to see.
So do you think it's easier to have a successful business now than it was before?
Yeah, oh wait. Like it's insanely easier. Like every time, sometimes I'd get pitched by young people starting this business and they say, I started selling this thing on Etsy. I started selling this thing on Shopify and now we're doing 50 grand a month and it's been 5 months and I'm 19. And I'm, oh my God, like you are great. You are insane, right? Things like that are just amazing because now distribution online is kind of free. You can use, overseas talents. Like so many things are opening up right now. There is absolutely no excuse right now if your thing is, I want to build a business. If you don't want to build a business, that's fine. But at the moment, it is the easiest time possible.
Even in this current climate?
I do believe in this current climate because I think, especially with everything going on, I think that it forces you to think about businesses that truly solve problems, right? In the past, you could basically spin up any idea and it didn't really need to solve a problem. It was kind of like, like I'm building this thing and it's kind of cool and I guess some people will like it, right? But now, because people are more choosy about what they spend their money with and what problems need to be solved, it forces you to start to really think about ideas that like materially improve people's lives. And I think that's great because if I'm honest, there were a bunch of companies or a sector of companies where they were just solving problems for no reason. It was just like, nobody has this problem, but I guess. But now it's great because you're going to see the great companies being started, which are like truly improving people's lives. And that's going to be amazing.
Fantastic. Well, I want to go back to Fanbytes now.
Yeah.
Because you sold it.
Yes.
For a lot of money. We're not going to talk about figures. It's a bit uncouth. But was it
uncouth is such a good word. A bit uncouth.
It's a bit uncouth. But was it always your aim to sell it off?
So I have this thesis that there's basically 4 ways that a company can end, right? Or there's 4 outcomes. One is that the business fails. One is that the business goes on the stock market. One is that the business gets handed off to your kids. And then the 4th one is that the business is sold, right? The business was not going to fail. The business was not the type of business that goes on the stock market. I started it when I was 21, 22, so I had no kids.
Yet.
I still don't. And so the 4th one was basically, that was the outcome. So I think, yes, we had, when I built it, I designed it to be able to be acquired at some point. Because the whole thing was, I knew with all these things, consolidation would happen at some point. And the main thing was to ensure that we built a valuable enough company that when it then came to that period of consolidation, we'd be able to sell at that point.
So what was it about your company that made Brain Labs think, we want them?
So I think, fundamentally, you have to have a good business, right? Like you can't just have like a basic business and then expect it to be acquired. So I think, revenue was very strong. We were growing, 150% every single year for 5 years. So that was great. We had really owned a specific segment in the market, like in the influencer market, but also the way we had kind of crafted the business, where we had a big emphasis on technology and software, and then we also had the data part, and then we had the services part. Brain Labs were one of the 4 companies who actually wanted to buy us. So they actually, put in terms and said, right, we want to acquire you guys. And the reason why we were in Brain Labs was because like they also had a lot of stuff around technology and data and services. So for us being an attractive company, I think we just had a solid business in terms of like, profit, revenue and all that stuff. But we also had, tech and data, which meant we could be quite scalable.
Yeah.
Which, for a lot of business owners, they probably don't have. Like lots of business owners are running businesses which aren't sellable because maybe it's like too dependent on them, or they're just trading their time for money. So you have to think about how you're building something that can scale independent of you. And I think that's something that we did quite well.
So you were looking at growth for your company, where it was moving on to. So for anyone listening who has a business, what key factors are really important to support growth in business?
What key factors? So the first one is always about the people, and having people who are going to be able to do that journey with you. So many business owners get this very wrong, where they think that the current team of people they have are also going to be the people in 2, 3, 4 years who are going to be there. And the thing is, more times than not, your company and your people reach a limit. And I think that was something that I could just see myself and some of our team members. I was like, okay, well, if we want to take that next step of growth, we just need people who've been through that journey before. So I think the people is definitely the bigger one. And then the second one would probably be operational excellence. After a while, a business is not so much just about, sales and marketing, etc. It's just around like, how well can you cater to your existing customers? And making sure you can do that is another key growth lever, rather than just constantly thinking new business.
And were those the key factors that help your business to grow rapidly?
Yeah, I think focusing on, always leveling up your people, and then focusing on leveling up operationally as well. That was a very, very important thing.
Timo, you mentioned that when you first started out, you made mistakes. You set up business, your tutoring business, and I'm sure you've made mistakes along the way. What are the common mistakes you see from sort of your competitors or other businesses, or people who come to you for advice? What do you say to them?
So I think there's a couple. I think the first thing is the founders just not being realistic about their business. I know we see a lot of people talk about, $1 billion businesses, etc. And everyone then goes, oh my God, I want to build $1 billion business. And founders not being realistic about the outcome. So often, right now I do a lot of angel investing, and I get people coming to me and their whole thing is, right, this is how it becomes $1 billion. I'm like, mate, your business is not going to be $1 billion. And the reason why is because they just don't have that like realistic view as to what is the outcome of their business, and they're not able to take a long-term view on business. So I think that is definitely one. It's more around the founder psychology, just trying to understand that actually your business doesn't have to be $1 billion business, and what is a realistic outcome. because it can get so easy to start making just really bad decisions from that lens. And probably the second one around building companies is not realizing, and it kind of goes back to the first thing that we said, not realizing that there are all these playbooks and things that you're trying to do which have been done by someone else. And so you should spend more time trying to optimize for learning how people have done it and then implementing in your business rather than constantly thinking from first principles.
Yeah, but if people are learning from you, and you've just sold your business, you know, you're doing well. I mean, everyone wants to be like, okay,
but I want a slice of that cake. but I put out a lot of content about it. And what's even better though is, you know, when people ask me about business stuff, I'm very open to it. Especially if they ask me very like specific questions, you know, not just, you know, tell me about your life. All right, mate, you know, but I'm very open to that because I've learned it from other people and other books and resources and all that stuff there. But I think definitely the point about just not being realistic and almost reverse engineering success. That's one thing that I did a lot. I always, in any business venture, in anything that I invest in anything that I advise on, I always say, well, what's the end goal? Like, what's the realistic end goal? And now let's work backwards from that to see what needs to happen. So for example, if the play was right, I want to sell a business for 50 million. I'd go, all right, well, what needs to be true? All right, in this industry, businesses are sold for 5 times revenue. All right, that means we need to do 10 million. All right, 10 million means that we need X amount of customers. We need to work it back, and then we and then we go and do that rather than just, you know, going by vibes basically.
Well, every business wants to be successful.
Yeah,
you know, that's one of the main motivations for people to go into business.
Yeah.
And cash flow is the key to success.
Yeah.
But we're in challenging times. You know, recession is looming. You know, what is the most important thing for businesses now to be focused on in this time?
So I think the biggest thing is focusing on that 80-20 rule. So everybody is aware of that thing, right? Which is 20% of your inputs create 80% of your outputs. And because we've had such, you know, fat times where money was plentiful, etc., people have almost forgotten that 20%. And I think it's very important now for business owners to think, well, what really is that 20% that is driving the business and driving the business growth, and just focus in on that. And that would mean very hard decisions of saying, well, this doesn't matter as much, or this doesn't matter at all. And honing in on that is the way that you're really going to win. And I think probably the second thing is spend more time with your existing customers. Businesses get so enamored with, you know, new customers. Let's get more. But it is an absolute goldmine when you spend time with your existing customers who already trust you, love you, and just try and give them more value. So those are 2 very tactical things that I'd say to business owners now, because the days of, oh yeah, it doesn't matter if we lose this one because there'll always be another one, those days are long gone now.
So loyalty is key.
Loyalty is incredibly key, yeah.
So for small businesses, any key points you say that they should avoid or look out for?
Avoid vanity purchases. So vanity purchases are hires that you kind of think would be nice, but actually you don't really need. That's vanity hire, getting swanky offices for no reason. That's you know, vanity purchases. And also I think a final point of that is growth doesn't always mean more people. I feel like in business we say, well, we want to grow, and then it's like, oh, let's just get more people, right? But I think that especially during this times, it's gonna encourage and force people to think, how do I create more value given my set of people, rather than just you know, just let's just get more bums on seats, because that's the way that we show that we've grown. So those are 3 things there.
One of the things you said earlier on is that you tapped into sort of the zeitgeist of the moment, the
Yeah,
influencers and stuff.
yeah.
Are there any trends at the moment that businesses can look at to help them grow their businesses?
So I think one of the things that I'm particularly excited by is everything going on with short form video. So by short form video, I'm talking, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. The reason why I'm really excited by that is it's still so early and there's still so much opportunity if a brand can create their own following on those platforms. I think it's so early and, views are still increasing, followings are increasing, and brands should spend some time thinking about that because at the moment, not even at the moment, like for the future, I think every brand is kind of going to become like a media company, right? Whether it's the bakery down the road all the way to some oil and gas company. And by that, I mean, people aren't really going to care about who the brand is. It's more what is the content that they put out on social. And I think that is such an amazing opportunity if you can build your audience on those things. Because currently it's just free game right now. It's free game. It doesn't take a lot of effort. It just requires a lot more creativity, and then you win. And so that's it.
It's interesting because if you're not on one of these platforms, and even if your business is brilliant, people aren't gonna. They want to see it. They just want to see it, don't they?
Exactly. I mean, there's so many stories I've seen. Right, there was this I think Scottish furniture company. They were just in some random place, and they have sold out 6 months straight. Every single month they sell out and make hundreds of thousands. The reason why is they started a TikTok account showing the people who work in the furniture store and of them like packing their orders and of them, having lunch, having breakfast, and like people have fallen in love with the characters.
So it's like a mini reality show.
Exactly, right? And so they've just fallen in love with them, and they're like, well, I live in whatever, Latvia, but I'm still going to buy my stuff from these guys because I feel like, Ben there is my friend.
Yeah.
And it's such an opportunity.
Oh, it's amazing. So give us 3 tips you would give to someone wanting to scale up in a business.
To scale up?
Yeah.
Okay. So they've already got their business.
Yeah. So 3 tips.
So the first tip would be to focus on that 80-20 rule.
Okay.
Like really assess your business and figure out what 20% is driving the 80% of the output. Because that could also mean, what 20% of your people are driving 80% of your output. Because then you can almost replicate those people. That would be the first one.
And then does that mean you have to be
a little bit... fire the other ones.
I was going to say...
No.
I said, do you have to be harsh with that?
No.
Or make difficult decisions to focus on that 20%?
Yeah, like make difficult decisions to almost replicate those 20%. That would be the first one. The second one would be to really position your product as a painkiller and not a vitamin. So there's this whole thing that, business ideas are either painkillers or vitamins. Vitamins are like, nice to haves. Yeah, that's nice. Painkillers are, I have a headache. I need to solve this. And I think even with Fanbytes, a big thing that we did, in the first few years, we were kind of a vitamin. It's like, here's a way to work with these influencers until we like changed the business and almost was like, these influencers can make you guys more money, brands, if you spend X, you make more money. So we instantly became a painkiller because brands always want to drive sales. And then the third thing would be lower the intensity on yourself. So I think this was something that I didn't do well until later on. Probably in the first 3 years of Fanbytes, I was quite a stressful person. I was very...
Really?
Yeah. I was very like, okay, guys, quick, speed, right? And then what happened was I realized that by that behavior, it was affecting other people in a way where maybe they couldn't handle that level of intensity and speed, which really, when you realize that a company is just a group of people that have come together to solve something, you need your people to also be down for the ride. And so the moment that I started almost reducing the pressure on me, and started to look at the game of business like a game and more, right, what input do we need here? What action do we need to do to get to that next level? That really helps. So I think for business owners, it will be stressful. It is stressful, but also when you almost take a step back, if we're talking about scale-ups as well, if you almost take a step back and you realize, how far you've come from it just being an idea or it just being like a random thought that you had in your mind, that would lower the pressure that you have on you. And that will help you to become a better performer.
So to wrap up the show, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice I've been given was actually from a book I read called Psycho-Cybernetics. And the whole concept is around neuroplasticity. And I think for me, it is to behave as if the world is the way that you want it to be. And then the world will just open up for you. And I remember reading that and it just opened up my mind. I was just like, well, I'm just going to be my future self. And I'm going to act like my future self. And I'm going to make decisions like my future self. And I'm going to, think about money like my future self. And then the world just opened up for me because it just acted like I was that person. And so that for me, it's more of a psychological thing. Fundamentally changed my life.
Amazing. I'm going to start thinking like that.
So there you go.
It's time. Timo, thank you so much for joining me on this episode, and thanks to you for listening. Remember to hit follow and subscribe so you don't miss our incredible guests still to come. And if today's episode has inspired you, head to our website to find more insights and potential solutions that could help you take action today. Until next time.